So, what happened to the truck? That was quite an adventure, a little side story, if you will, to our bigger adventure.
Wanting to get all that bleach out of my hair, I found a really awesome hair salon in Moab, Utah called Atomic Hair Salon. Rebecca was the lady who cut my hair. Highly recommend it. I love my cut and it was very inexpensive for what I got. So if you're in the Moab, Utah area, go check out Atomic Salon for Rebecca. Come here! Hi guys!
We are on the Dead Man Point 4x4 trail in Moab, Utah, heading out to Dead Man Point.
So this is, we did the 4 the other day, 2 days ago.
Yep.
We did the 4 2 days ago, and that proved to be way too much for our F-150.
We're too big of a vehicle for number 4.
I will say though, we did it handsomely, and so many of the Jeep people were like, how in the world are you this far in? And we did the entire thing.
Yep.
So.
But it was definitely pushed the limits of what this truck as is could do.
Yes. So this one that we're on now, the Dead
Man Point, is a number 3.
Yes.
And it's considerably less.
Okay.
It is considerably less difficult.
This one's really nice. It's really scenic. You can see the mountains right there. Some canyons are right there. It's beautiful. I'm curious to see what the end looks like.
Yeah.
And then I get to drive it back. Yay!
I parked the truck in a hole, just about. Now Natalie has some issues getting in.
Today we leave Moab, Utah, and we head over to Zion and the Grand Staircase, Escalante. But anyways, we're packing up the trailer, which means that there's a lot of work to do. Alec is currently on top of the RV, on top of Kelly right now. He's working on getting some of the solar down. One thing you have to do is you want to make sure everything's off the roof. You want to make sure all the antennas are off. Alec coming in with his hair crazy. Look at that.
Is it?
You want to make sure all of the dishes are out of the sink, all the stuff is off of the counters, the bed's up, all the clothes are put away. And in the bathroom, you want to make sure a couple things as well. The shower needs to be locked. Everything in the shower needs to be off of these two ledges, so we always put them on the floor. Everything on the counter space has to go in here. That there's not a lot of water in the toilet. We actually found that out. So Alec is going to put up the bed, and I'm going to do some dishes, and we're going to pack this baby up. This is how we store this little drainage system. We just kind of store it right here in this little, the sink. We always put the soap and stuff right there. That will be going with me in the car, but there's nothing left. We've been staying at the Dalton Wells BLM land here in Moab. It's about 20 minutes away from downtown. It's a steal, it's free. If you have an RV or tent, make sure that you go there. Don't spend money on a hotel because it's outrageously expensive here. What did you think of Moab?
It was great.
Yeah? What was your favorite part of Moab?
Probably running the trails and seeing stuff you can't get to from a visitor center guide.
Yeah. My favorite part was the Arches National Park. I think that that is my new favorite national park ever.
We are heading to southwestern side of Utah right now. Grand Staircase Escalante to be exact. Utah's cool.
Yeah.
Utah's really neat. It's got some very interesting landscapes that I've never seen before.
It's very dry and very sandy out here, especially the further we get into Utah.
Yeah.
I feel like Colorado had some of this, but this is just straight desert.
Yeah.
You know. We are going to something called Zebra Canyon Slots. It's like a 6-mile hike. You look crazy though.
Yep.
Protected. It's really dry and really hot out here, and it's only reading like 69, 70. It feels like we're in the summer of Florida right now.
But the sun is pretty intense, so
yeah,
it's definitely amping that up a little bit.
Yes.
And this, right now in the shade it's really nice, but when the sun comes out, it gets very hot.
in this really tight area, and you could hear just like that. And all of this sand just started to rain down on all of us. So we're like currently covered in sand right now. Like you could see it on my arms. It's covering me. That was so cool though.
So if you're afraid of getting sand or other stuff in your camera gear, this is not the place for you. You will leave with sand on every nook and every cranny of your entire body.
What?
We're on this road called Hole in the Rock Road, which is where our campsite was, and then there were some attractions on down the road. It was about a 40 or 50 mile one-way road out to Hole in the Rock, which intrigued me because that's the end of the road. Hole in the Rock Road is a very washboard road. It's rough. It is a very rutted road, and the best way to approach that road when you're driving down it is to air down your tires and go above the speed limit. Speed limit is 35 miles an hour. We did like 45, 50 is what we found was the smoothest. And even at that...
45, 50? Let's not lie here. Jesus is listening, Alex Brenchley.
We went faster than the posted speed limit because...
We went...
I think you did too.
Not by much.
Oh, okay, whatever. Even at 45, 50 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour, whatever you want to go.
70 miles per hour.
It's not a smooth ride, however you want to cut it.
And they just redid it 3 days before we drove on it.
We found that out as well. We got 20 or 30 miles into the road, one-way road, and realized that we just didn't really care what was at the end. It was that bad. There were some sections that would just shake your teeth loose.
Yep.
Doesn't matter how fast you go or how little air is in your tires.
Yep.
It was so rough. And it's just a regular road. It's nothing crazy. There's no like
Which is like
boulders.
a desert road.
Yeah. Turns out Hole in the Rock Road is just a notorious road for people breaking down on, and we added one to the list there. Alright, so we're rolling down this washboard road. Natalie's driving. Means nothing. Just happened to be when you were driving and you said, oh no, we're not going anywhere. So I said, pull over. And I got out of that truck, and on the side of the truck, I looked underneath, and you can just see everything's wet, which is not a good sign.
Anything leaking now?
Nope. And so I'm like, shut the engine off and pop the hood. And so I checked underneath, opened the hood, immediately felt fluid on my fingers and saw fluid there, which fluid in your engine bay is not a good sight because that means something's not supposed to be leaking, and it is. It wasn't very long before someone pulled up, and who pulled up was this lady named Faye from Idaho, and she was wonderful. She had just gotten a conversion 4x4 van, and this was her maiden voyage in it, and she was incredibly helpful to us because she said, hey guys, you broken down? And we're like, yeah. She's like, is there anything I can do to help? I'm like, you could give us a ride into town, just kind of like joking because town was far away.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, hop in. It's gonna be a slow ride, but we'll get there. I was like, all right. So we packed our crap, locked the truck, and headed back into town with Faye. The thing about Escalante is they had no auto parts stores, and it was the day before Easter, so I was very certain everywhere would be closed that might potentially have transmission fluid. The other issue is that the only places that would have transmission fluid is going to be gas stations, and I've never seen more than a bottle or two of transmission fluid at a gas station. The other problem that we had was I knew that the truck had spit up a lot of transmission fluid, and I looked up that the truck for a flush would take 7 quarts of transmission fluid, and for a full amount of fluid is 13 quarts, which is a lot. And I knew a gas station would not have 13 quarts. So we rolled into the Phillips 66, and let alone, not only did they have the 13 quarts, but they had the Ford Mercon 4 for 13 quarts worth of that. And that was incredible. So we got a new ride for the next 18 miles. What do you think of it?
It's great. What are you doing down there?
I'm about to start putting all of our transmission fluid back into the truck.
Right there?
Yep.
What happened to the transmission?
There was a line on the front of the truck that came loose while going down this dirt road. And I believe it spilled all of our transmission fluid out.
There.
I was reading the forums on the way into town, and it said they get a pump. They make a transmission fluid pump because of this issue on a lot of vehicles, but I was like, I'm not going to find a pump anywhere. I also said I wouldn't find 13 quarts of Mercon 4, or whatever it is, Mercon LV fluid anywhere, and we did, so.
Do you want me to just hand them to you?
Yeah, let me do this test one first. I'm not ready for all of them. I just want to make sure, see how much this sucker's going to leak, if at all. Looks like it's making it. This is our transmission cooler here, and right there, that hose that had slipped off and was just dumped all the fluid out. So I got some real hose clamps for that, and we should have no problem. Faye was amazing, and we made her take $20.
I was like, I'm gonna put this here, and you're not gonna fight me.
Yep.
She even stayed with us while we put in the transmission fluid until we were literally on the road, just in case something happened. So from the point of breakdown to the point of getting back to our campsite, it was a little bit over 2 hours.
We got back to our trailer before dark. So hopefully that's it for now, but we shall see. We need to wash it again. We had gone through 6 quarts of the transmission fluid when we filled it up, and it seemed fine. So it rested that day. The next day we went to go do some hikes, and then we also went to move to our next location, and we turned on the truck and it would just not go anywhere. It wasn't happening. So I hopped underneath to check the level. The level looked okay, which was odd. And then I saw a drop down, and I was like, okay, well, there's fluid everywhere. It's all over everything, so it's just a, extra. So I grabbed some paper towels and wiped that down, and then it dropped again, and that's when I knew we were in deep trouble, because it shouldn't be leaking like that from where it was. It was leaking right from where the engine and the transmission mated together. There's a seal there, and it was leaking from that. So we got enough fluid into the truck to make it move, and we drove on down into town to the only mechanic in town. He was super busy. He was going to be 2 weeks out, and he also said, you know what, this is probably a little more than I want to get into. You should just take it to Ford. And I said, where's the closest Ford? And he said, oh, it's in Cedar City. And I said, I don't know where Cedar City is. He said, oh, it's about 2.5 hours away. And I said, this truck's not going to make it to Cedar City. And he said, I wouldn't drive it to Cedar City either.
This is Monday. We are 8 weeks into our traveling. We are in the Grand Staircase Escalante area here in Utah. It's a very small town. Your grocery store closes at 7 p.m. That's how small the town this is. So we're here downtown. We got a coffee. We're just hanging out. We figured out that Geico will tow both the RV and our truck for free, 2.5 hours away. And you know what, it is what it is. If we have to replace our transmission or whatever we gotta do, I have no idea, but we're here and alive, and it's gonna be a good day, right?
It's a great day.
It's a great day.
Sun's out.
Sun's out.
Heading over to the nearest Ford dealership, actually, where they're gonna take a look at our truck. So we're having a tow truck driver drive us 2.5 hours there.
Laramie was so professional and so caring, and his tow truck was very clean. Everything went very smoothly. Not only did he tow the truck to the Ford dealership, but he also personally towed Callie to various locations around Cedar City to see what would be the best for us. He knew that we had a bike everywhere, so he thought of a location that was a mile away from the Ford dealership.
The Ford dealership is right there. We're staying up the road right there.
And popped us right there. Not only did he do that, but about a few days later, he ended up calling us and
just checking in on us.
Yeah, just to check in and say, hey, how's it going? Did you get your car fixed? What's going on with the car? How are you guys doing? Do you guys need anything? So I was beyond impressed with
absolutely
Ladd's Towing Company. They were a godsend for us. Really wonderful people.
Yep.
Where we were staying, it wasn't a campground, it wasn't BLM land, it wasn't an RV park, it was like a random off-roading course and like almost a pull-off section. We are here at Cedar City, Utah.
Yep.
We never thought we would go here.
Didn't even know it existed.
Not even a clue, but it is a very beautiful and little lovely town down here. I'm
quaint would be a good word to describe it.
Very surprised. So there's some like nice houses over there. So I don't even know if we're really supposed to be here, but
here we are.
But we're gonna be here until we get kicked out. So.
And if the police want to move us, it's Ladd's Towing that's gonna be moving us.
It's Ladd's Towing that got here. It's Ladd's Towing that's gonna get us out. So yeah, we're actually going to ride our bikes into town to the Ford dealership. We're about a mile away from like a laundromat and the Ford dealership and a grocery store. So we're going to do some laundry because it's been about 2 weeks and we have 2 full bags. Right next to us was a really ritzy area. And so they were concerned that we were kind of taking advantage of the land and had the police called. Understandable. It was about 2 nights in.
Sure.
They were really, really great. They said, you know what, you're within city limits. We can't have you do this. We need you to move. And we explained the situation, how Ladd's Towing Company personally towed us there, how we were waiting for a new transmission, how that we didn't have a truck to move, but we would happily move. And once we said all of that, they were like, oh, no, don't worry about it. It's okay. You guys can stay.
Riding out to get some lunch and some groceries today.
We're eating Taco Bell because we're healthy.
Yeah. I'm going into the road.
Where are you going?
The road! So we're just sitting here doing our own thing. I'm working on the video and Natalie's working on her blog. And this truck pulls up and stops right there and a lady gets out. We've already been contacted by the police. We're all already like, oh man, what are they gonna say now? Anyways, this wonderful woman named Shawnee comes up and says, hey, hello, how you guys doing? Hers broke down. I'm going to Walmart. Do you want anything? No big deal. You know, we can get you to Walmart and back.
Here's my number, whatever you need.
And also, by the way, here's some fresh baked cookies from me. So this little place is kind of growing on us. They're very nice.
If you need anything, here's my number, here's cookies, welcome to the neighborhood. And we've been feeling almost like a burden to these people, like we're kind of ruining the aesthetic of their home and, you know, the vibe here. And she just completely smashed that idea. That was so nice, like completely unexpected. So nice.
So as the day went on, they did a further inspection into the transmission and they found metal pieces in it, which is a killer for the transmission. At that point, we knew that we needed a new one. Mm-hmm. The Cedar City Ford really helped us out.
Yeah.
They were absolutely great to work with, whether it was trying to find some numbers to work together to whether we needed to get a new truck or fix this one.
Right.
And then once we actually did decide to go ahead and fix this one, I think it was a Tuesday when I went in and signed the papers on having them do the repair. Friday at 1:30 we were driving off the lot.
Yep. They knew our situation. They knew that we were passing through and that we were stuck and that we were waiting on the truck, so they really put that as their top priority for the week, which was really great.
Yep. All right, it is 5:30.
Yep.
We filled our tanks with water. We dumped our tanks with the sewage. We got propane.
Yep.
And we got gas for the truck.
Mm-hmm.
We are ready to rock and roll.
And we went to Walmart.
And we even went to Walmart.
It all worked out. Everything's fine. We learned a lot of lessons and we were able to kind of slow down, which was nice. So did we want to waste a week in Cedar City? No. Was it a big blessing all around? Yes. So can't really
enjoy
complain.
Cedar City? Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely go see that city. It's a really nice little town. It's definitely up and coming, I think. It's beautiful, and it's right by Zion, so go check it out if you're in that area.
And we found our campsite kind of in between Zion and Bryce, because those are our next 2 destinations. We we found our first instance of why you don't go certain places when the snow is melting. We started to travel down this dirt road and stopped before it got too muddy, but at that point in time it was already pretty far gone. Too
much weight from the trailer and truck, and this ground just went.
Yep.
It took about 30 minutes, some max tracks. We broke off a mud flap on the back of our truck temporarily. Is it fixed?
Yep.
It's fixed now.
Keep going, you're good. All right. Hang on, let me get one more in there. We saw the open gate, so we figured we'd come and check out some camping down here because this is a campsite, and we got hit with some pretty serious mud. And when you're towing a camper like Callie, you're going to just sink and slide every which way you didn't think you'd slide. So this is all us here. Our options were to try and make it around in there, or to go further down the road, and there was a potential drier spot to turn around in. I didn't particularly want to go further down the road because it's just muck, and I didn't think we had the power to get it out, or mud tires. Forget the power. But luckily we used our max tracks to get that. You need to go.
Yeah.
Just pick a tree. Oh, okay, I'll stop. So anyways, we got the mud tracks, the max tracks here, and we were able to get it out. Lost the mud flap, but